Welcome to Coffee and Big Questions, brought to you by the Home Team Behavioural Sciences Centre. This is a lighthearted podcast series that breaks down big questions that are on our minds as we venture into the evolving world. Join us as we explore and gain insights from professionals on emerging topics. Hello, welcome to another episode of Coffee and Big Questions. My name is Nicole and this is Stanley. We're both psychologists with the OLP and HTBSC team. Today we have the good fortune of having our Diong Siew Maan here with us. We're going to be talking about a topic on hybrid and distributed working and how we have some sentiments about returning back to the workplace. So maybe you can just do a short introduction of yourself.
Hi everybody, I'm Siew Maan, psychologist with the MHA for quite a number of years. Just remember that enough.
Yeah. Alright, so I think we started with the topic of hybrid and remote working. So I think the context for this is that the restrictions have just lifted. I think now we are allowing 100% of the workforce back to the office. However, data seems to suggest that people are not so keen on actually returning. We read some articles from IPS and CNA that said actually there's a large preference for either hybrid work or completely remote working. So I think that's just the context of why we're having this conversation today. Maybe the first question to kickstart this session would be, what is your preference for working? Like, would you rather work in office or at home? Yeah.
I think over the last 2 years, things have changed. So I have also gotten used to, working from home. I have to adjust to it, I must admit, in the initial phase. But now, gotten quite used to staying at home and establish a routine to doing that. But having said that, in the last few months, we have also started going back to office for more events and all that. So that is a slow transition all this while. So personally, I think now that we are 100% or still on a hybrid mode, going back to work, personally I feel there will be some level of adjustment, but I don't think it will be that difficult for me at my own individual level. I think there's a bit of preparation and planning would be needed just to make sure that transition is a smoother one. Yeah.
Thanks for that. So I think that gets a bit of that context. Maybe I want to ask, why do you think there is a huge preference for people to prefer remote or hybrid working or like more flexible arrangements?
In general?
Yeah, in general.
Then maybe I'll ask you this question first. What will be your preference, if would you, hybrid or is it more like working full-time in the office?
I think I had a good fortune of actually being in between. When I started work, I did have a period of time where I was coming to office every day, and then the circuit breaker kicked in, and that's when we never came back to office for a very long time. So I think I agree with you, there's a huge transition, but once we got over the initial transition to remote work, I found it much more comfortable. I feel there's a lot more time in the day. You don't spend on travelling. A lot of the social energy also I feel is kind of saved. Instead of like needing to meet people and put up that kind of expressions and carry out those interactions, it was a bit more, okay, I can work in silo. Then when I need to, I'll jump onto a call, and that's when I can kind of like meet my team and we can have our discussions that we need to. So it's definitely saved a lot of energy and time. But then when we started coming back to office, I also realised there's the pros to it. I feel it speeds things up. You kind of get to know a person a little bit faster. So I think there's definitely the benefits of coming back to office also. So that's why my preference would also be maybe having a sort of hybrid, but I wouldn't say once a week, I say maybe once every 2 weeks.
As in once every 2 weeks?
Yeah, once every week.
Is that? Okay.
I can live with that.
I think it's quite interesting because I think over some time people get used to it, and then you establish a certain routine and your lifestyle, and your new life revolve around all this new routine. So having to transit back to an old routine, or maybe a different one will require some time, which I think the reactions of people, feeling a little bit uncertain, feeling a little bit resistant, may be something to be expected. But like you say, I think there are also benefits to coming back to office, the social gathering, the relationship building, which I think when you are working at home in a remote setting, you don't get that as much. Or it's more limited. You can only do it during meeting or after meeting or just before meeting. And the connection is never the same. That's my personal opinion. But I totally agree with you, you in the sense that you don't have the morning rush, the evening rush, and you don't have to pack together with others in the train, in the buses and all that. On the other hand, the other advantage of coming back to office is you get a little bit more exercises. I don't know whether it works in your case, but when I started doing the remote working, I realized I started putting on weight. Because you ended up walking around in your house, the very limited capacity or the range of activities. So I think there are plus and minus in this situation. So personally, I thought is don't need to resist too much. Okay, go with perhaps hopefully there's a balance between what the organization requires us to do and how we can best suited for it, and to work out a routine for ourselves. How do I prepare myself to go back to the office for the next day, or if the next day I'm going to work at home, how do I prepare my structure at home? There were definitely going to be a bit of adjustments, family-wise, personal-wise, and also how you structure your environment to work, and dealing with the office kind of interactions. I think there will be a lot of adjustment. But I think the mental prep and giving yourself an opportunity, I thought it may also be a refreshing change as well. Yeah.
Thanks for that. I think maybe if to lead to another question, from your perspective, I think generally, do you think that we would be 100% forced back in office, or do you think that we may adopt more of a flexi or hybrid model?
My personal opinion, strictly personal. I think a hybrid one, it would be a good one. Okay, because I think hybrid allows a bit of a mental refreshing change, perhaps on a weekly basis, if 2 days at home, 3 days in the office, if that works, then you have a little bit of variety, a bit of a diversity in how you organize your stuff. And I realized that when things change a little, not too much, people feel a little bit more refreshed, and you are not bogged down by the mundane routine of it. I think that will work, at least for me.
Thanks for sharing. I think I'm going into another part, which is on the same topic of hybrid working. But I think when we think of hybrid working, there's also some concerns when people are coming back some days and we're not coming back certain days. So let's say we're due to come back 2 days, and he's coming in two different days than I am, and the boss is also coming in at different days. I think one concern or one question might be that if I'm in the office on the days that my boss is there, would I be more seen? And if I come back on the days that my boss is not, would I be like
forgotten?
Yeah, forgotten, as if outside of mind. So I think the question is, will I be losing out? And how will you have any tips on managing that? I mean, it might be a concern for us because we got the staff.
It's the FOMO kind of mentality.
Yes.
Personally, I don't think so. Okay. I think there will be, over the last few years, we will have established a certain level of trust, in the staff and in terms of the relationship with the bosses and among the colleagues. So even the person is not around, I think we assume that the person is busy at home doing something, because the output will show, right? Whether you are busy or you're not busy, or you are responding to emails or not, there are a lot of indicators that can tell. But whether the person feels that they are missing out because the bosses and the rest of the colleagues are around, I think the missing out on the social aspect, maybe, because the jokes and the things become more spontaneous when you're meeting. Correct. And the laughter in the physical presence of a company versus virtual laughter is very different. Right. I mean, the contagion effect is very different. So I hope people are more concerned about missing out the social aspect. Okay. If they're worried about the work aspect, I don't think so, because I think I believe that, people are generally motivated and are able to go and perform what they are expected to do lah, or they know what they need to do. Yeah. But if you're worried about that, okay, I thought learning from some of my colleagues or other friends who have started this hybrid work arrangement, some of them go back as a team. So instead of stagger arrangement, so they may have the whole branch coming back on designated days, and then so there will be everybody in and having good meetings, good engagement. So that may work.
I just wanted to ask, do you have the same sentiment? Because that is on my mind. I'm not sure if you feel the same or not.
I'm trying to think back to, when I first started working. I feel like, for me personally, I am not too concerned about it. I think, especially, I think from the get-go, there was that established trust that we are doing our work properly. I think as long as you do your work, as long as you complete your work, generally it's okay. And I think that really helps in building that trust that, my superior trusts me to do my work. And so I should uphold that trust, Yeah.
Actually, I think the secret is the bosses are also very busy themselves, so they probably also don't have time to monitor the staff. And the best thing for the staff is to have a bit of confidence in themselves that they can get the work done, and keep your bosses busy by constantly sending the work to them, to engage them in the work, and I think that it makes the bosses are aware that they are actually working.
So take note, send you more emails. Okay, but yes, I got, that was quite helpful. I think the basis of trust is very important.
Yes.
I think if there's no trust, then therefore hybrid work will definitely have a bit more holes in the system and need to be...
Then might as well everybody work in the office. Perhaps I'd like to just add this, now that you talk about going back to office, so if you're going back to office on a full day basis, and if this is one of the first few times that you are doing it after a long working from home kind of arrangement, you will find that at the end of the day, you are quite mentally drained.
Yeah.
Right? It happens to me, because then after, when you reach home, it's like you don't feel like doing anything. And
don't want to talk to anyone.
Correct. You're just so tired, because I think the office environment, the traveling and all that is both physically and mentally very draining. So don't pressure ourselves too much on that, so give ourselves a little bit of a break. If you need to sleep earlier for that day, just go ahead, and the cycle and the routine will slowly catch up.
I think something I find helpful, sometimes when I go back to office and I also find myself very distracted or maybe overwhelmed by saying hi to so many people, is maybe finding quiet areas in the office also. I think we do have the luxury of having some less occupied areas, like the meeting room, so I'll just go there, and usually it's empty, so that I get to work alone, and I guess there's less eyes on you, so you don't feel so pressured to upkeep that front. And
so have a little bit of your me time during the office.
To build it in, you can find these places.
True.
As you mentioned, that also came to mind. This idea of needing to be more proactive is also, I think, something that was quite prevalent to me. Generally, I think in a normal basis, I don't really ask until asked. But I think when working apart, I need to proactively seek out clearance, need to proactively update my boss, what's happening on this certain project, because I'm not there. I cannot just pass over these comments over lunch. I really have to put it down in a text message and send it out and make sure that message goes across. So a bit more of that proactivity has to come in, I guess.
And you find that sometimes it can be also very tiring, right? This aspect, you have to constantly monitor and you have to craft nice emails and messages.
No grammar mistakes, punctuation.
So and I suppose that is the aspect of working from home, working in a remote setting where comms becomes more important.
And I think especially if we are going towards a more hybrid one, where actually every other day it feels like a different office, right? We are going either in office or back. So many things are changing. Then coordination or that communication becomes even more important. So I guess that's not something we can escape. Just something we're gonna keep up.
Agree. Yes.
Okay, so I think we're reaching towards the end. I just wanted to ask you, in your opinion, looking forward, this is the current landscape that we are going towards, general hybrid working. could you just maybe share one tip or the biggest tip or takeaway that you have that you can share with us on how to best manage hybrid working? Yeah.
I think it's to prepare yourself, dress up, go to work when you need to go to work, so that you feel good when you're at work, and be ready to accept the office kind of interactions and engagement, because I think that will also be helpful when you get into the mood of working in the office. But when you're at home, I think it is also to be a bit of to engage that level of self-discipline, to know where to set the boundaries between work and personal life, how to end work for the day. So if I were to sum it up, I think mental prep is important. So dress up, go to work, okay? And when you're at home, separate your personal time and your office hours, yeah.
Okay, very short and sweet. Just to summarize, I guess what we talked about today is about that climate of where work is headed to, and I think we are coming towards a middle ground of more towards hybrid work. I think we shared some tips on our experiences and things that worked for us. So I think if no further insights, I think we will end the podcast here. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Comment, like, subscribe.
We hope that you have enjoyed this episode of Coffee and Big Questions. Stay tuned for the next one. Take care.